So we talked a lot about the different reasons that applications can get refused, but what happens if you put together an absolutely flawless application and it still gets refused? Well, it does happen. I'm here to tell you, unfortunately, even perfect applications can still get refused. And if that's what happens, then you have the right to seek what's called leave for judicial review. Now, I want to be clear that if your study permit application gets refused, you don't have the right of appeal. You can't really appeal the decision. The right of appeal is a very specific right that's granted under the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act for very limited circumstances, so very specific applications, a study permit not being one of them. But you do have the right, which is a constitutional right, it's based in the Constitution, to ask the Federal Court of Canada to overturn a refusal. Okay, so it's not an appeal, it's an application for judicial review. However, the outcome is fairly the same. If the court overturns the refusal, then the application will go back into processing and it will be decided by a different officer. Okay, now this is a really excellent means to really seek justice when it comes to an application which has been refused, because I will tell you, good applications still do get refused, but the most important thing is to put together the absolute best application where an officer cannot reasonably refuse the application. If there's any reason that the officer could refuse the application and be correct in doing so, the court is absolutely not going to overturn that decision. If the officer made an error, in law, so they misapplied the law, or they made an error in fact, they got a matter of material fact wrong about your case, or if the decision is unreasonable, these are all reasons that the federal court can overturn a refusal decision. But if the officer was correct based on what was actually submitted in the application, not based on what's happening in the world or like extraneous information, based on what was actually put in front of the officer, if they made the right decision in any part of that decision making, it's done, right? The application is refused and it's your best bet to just submit a new one. So when you're submitting an application, realistically, it's a good idea to build the application as if it may face judicial review, as if the application may be in front of a judge to determine, did the officer make an error in law or fact, or was the application decision unreasonable to refuse? So it's really not overly cautious, but in my opinion, it's the right amount of caution to basically prepare any application for judicial review to assume, this is going to go in front of the court. So that way, there's absolutely no stone left unturned on the application. And if it does go in front of the court, then you're extremely likely to win.